Hello everyone and welcome back to Albion Online. So today I'm going to be finishing off what I was doing with Albion, and this will probably be a compilation of various different things. Roughly in the docket today is building up my personal island, which I'm on at the minute, and then also perhaps doing some dungeons and maybe trying to get in on some PvP. This video is still part of the same promotion as the one I did 2 days ago, so there's that, and yeah, I'm just going to play for a good amount of time, and I'll just drop in whenever the highlights happen. So first of all, I may as well just show you what I've got in terms of my island. It was actually really cheap to purchase, and it's got loads of different plots where I can put things. Right now, I've just got the sort of rough little outline here for a smelter. Now, to build that smelter, I'll need 30 tier 1 wood, I'll need some tier 2 planks, that's what happens when you refine wood. I then need some tier 1 stone, and then some tier 2 bricks, and quite a lot of each, so it will probably take me a little while to gather all of this stuff. Though I do have an ox to help me out, which will be kind of handy. I've also got my house. Now, this is the Legendary Explorer Shelter. It comes with the Legendary Founders Pack, which is the highest tier. It's absolutely not something you'll need, and it is completely cosmetic. The devs gave me a Legendary Founders Pack for this thing, so I just thought I may as well put this here for the sake of building something. Now, to build this, I need tier 1, just some basic tier 1 stuff, and then some tier 2 refined things. So I'm going to hop off, gather some of this stuff, and we'll see what happens. Okay, so now I'm out in the world, and the first thing to really focus on for getting stuff for my guild, or my actual island, is wood. Now, there's two different kinds of wood that I'll be needing at the start anyway. There's these basic rough logs, which just come from regular old trees, and then there is birch, with birch being the tier 2 kind of log. So, you can see I'm beginning to gather them here. I'm going to need a lot, though. For an example, I think I needed 120 of the tier 1 logs, and then 120 of the tier 2 planks. Now, the tier 2 planks, like, to make one tier 2 plank, I need one tier 2 log, and then also a tier 1 plank. So it stacks up in such a way that you're pretty much always going to need the basic stuff as well. So I'm going to need to chop a lot of wood. It would seem like these guys are as well. They are kind of going to be competition, but that's fine. I think I've got better stuff than them, so I'll be able to outcompete them easily enough when it comes to my chopping skills. Okay, so I've got 121 of the tier 2 logs, which is the first thing that I needed to get. Now, you're probably noticing I'm moving really slowly, and actually, even though I'm moving slowly at the minute, if I was to unequip my bag, I actually wouldn't even be able to move. So we'll put that right back on, but you can see that if I put my horse on, I can now move. It's like at 61%. That's basically because, if you're to think about it, your horse has got saddlebags, so when you mount up, it means you can carry a little bit more. This is going to allow me to just keep on going, chopping regular logs, even though I'm carrying a pretty crazy amount of stuff. If I had an ox, then I could carry even more, but the ox is a lot slower than the horse, so unless you're really going to be, like, lugging a ginormous amount of stuff, maybe not worth it with the ox. Now, one thing that's actually pertinent right now is you can see all my abilities were on cooldown for a second there, and that's because I only just dismounted. And this is one thing about the balance of mounts actually I didn't really cover. Now, this is totally safe for me to do. I'll just wait till this bleeds. There we go, the bleed's gone. Yeah, so if I'm mounted, by the way, I'm now carrying so much I can't actually move when I'm not mounted. My horse just goes at this little trot. But if I unmount, A, I can't move, but also all of my abilities are on cooldown. I think that's a measure to, in PvP, make mounting and dismounting kind of an important gameplay choice, because if you dismount immediately, then you're not going to be that good at combat. So it's definitely you committing if you actually dismount from your mount, which I guess is an interesting way to go with things. I suppose we'll just have to see how that balance actually works out. Anyway, I should probably also give you a quick little update on the old resources. So it's been, I don't know, 15 minutes? Probably a bit less since I headed out, and I've got, nearly, 120 of the tier 2 logs, and then nearly 200 of the tier 1 logs. That should be nearly enough, because I think I've got some tier 1 logs in my bank, so we're just going to have to head back and refine them down all into planks. Okay, well, unfortunately, as you can see in the map here, most of the log, lumber mill places are actually out of food. Now, what does being out of food mean? Well, basically, these buildings consume food whenever you actually use them, and when they run out of food, well, that's it. They ain't going to do any more work. But they've set up a kind of interesting thing where the building owner can set a reward for giving the building food. Now, that reward could be, more or less than the cost of the actual food, so that's maybe another little economical sort of layer to things. Now, there's one just over here, which is only at a 15% tax from the person who owns it, so it seems like the one to use. Okay, so I'm in. Now, I think I needed lots of tier 2 planks, so let's just go and craft 120 of them. So I'll just hit craft here, I suppose. That's interesting, I don't need any of the tier 1 resources to make the tier 2 planks. I think it's with, like with steel and stuff. If you want to make tier 3 steel, you'll also, or tier 3 metal, you'll also need some of the tier 2 bars, but it doesn't look like that's the case. Anyway, I'm just going to wait for this bar to fill up, then head back to my bank chest and pop on over to the island. Okay, so I'm at the center of the city that I was in previously. Here's like the main chest where you can access your bank. Now, the banks, of course, aren't shared, so if I wanted to move this to another one, then I'd probably need to just hop on my ox and log it all over. Anyway, I've got some of my remaining wood, and to get over to your island, you just need to talk to this guy, and it takes like a little second for this to actually wait, but any second now, it should pop up with my island, then I can just hit buy journey. It's free because it's my island, and then I'm here. Now then, moving up onto this house, I've decided I'm not going to bother building like the smelter or anything for now because you already know how those work, and I already have access to a whole bunch of them. So it says here that I need tier 1 stuff. I can just hit this building like icon here, and oh, I need to dismount. And because that stuff's in my inventory, it should just pop right in. Though it does go at like 5 at a time, so you kind of need to whack away at the building for a while. So I've got plenty of that, and I've also got enough in terms of these tier 2 things to build the house up a bit. So I'm going to get crafting here, and afterwards I'll head out and grab some stone. I've got all the appropriate stone making tools, so that shouldn't be too hard. Actually, just as a suggestion for the devs, one thing that would be really nice is, like, if the buildings sort of built themselves up a little bit as you put more items into them. It's a bit like how, say, in Age of Empires, the more your workers would build a building up, the kind of, you know, the more built up it would look. That would be a nice little bit of visual feedback, because right now it seems like your building will just be like this until it's got everything, and of course once it's got everything it just turns into its fully built state. So yeah, that's just a little bit of feedback that I'd give. Okay, one decently thing that one decently handy thing that I noticed is there's actually limestone, which is tier 2 stone, on my island, so maybe I'll be able to get enough resources from here to actually finish the rest of this building, though probably not, because it's not really the biggest island ever. Okay, so I'm here at the stonemason, and actually I've got enough of the tier 2 stone to be able to do what I want to do, but I still need to get like 60 more of the tier 1 stuff. However, I have joined a group to go silver farming in a PvP area, so I'm going to bench the crafting now, and we'll come back to that later. Okay, well, what we're going to do is head off on a silver run, which basically just means running through a dungeon and sort of getting the loot from there. Now, the run that we're going to do is over here in Oakreach, in this dungeon here, which is for 3 to 5 people. I've went there before, you've actually seen footage of me there before, but we just killed some trash and then wiped to a boss, and, well, that wipe kind of lost a few of us some gear. It actually lost someone their horse, which wasn't really too good for them, so hopefully we'll have better luck now, because it seems like most of the group is decently geared. Though I will be the first one to die, because I happen to be the bastard with the sword and shield, so I'm going to be the one doing the tanking. That is, of course, unless I let the other people die first, in which case I guess I'll be a pretty bad tank. Well, unfortunately, it looks like the rest of the group are going the slow way, so I'm going to have to double back and meet them. I'm their tank after all, so I don't know if it's best that we let them tank all the trash that they'll find on their way to the dungeon. Okay, fuck wolves. Okay, so time to do some fighting. This guy here is kind of like a basic spellcaster enemy. They are pretty fast to die, and one of the handy things about being the tank is I do get a healer, which is certainly nice, and if I had have brought my pickaxe, I would have been able to use this, like, really rare ore, but whatever. That's fine, oh shit. It's probably best that I don't cast too much. I can, as you can see there, interrupt their abilities, including interrupting that one that was cast on Taylor, so that's kind of handy. And, yeah, basically, like, interrupting is a key skill in this game. If you're shit at interrupting, then you're probably going to take a lot more damage than you really need to, which means your healer is going to be burning through more resources, and your healer will probably run out, and that's just a bad thing for everyone. Now, if you're wondering what my abilities are, I've just got my main, like, tanking sort of slash here. I've got 2 interrupts. One of them's like a sword one of them comes from my shield. This is a spell reflect for 120%. damage that comes off my armor, and I just press R to activate that. I do have some tier 3 armor that's got a pure damage reduction ability, so I'll probably pop that on when I actually get into the dungeon so I don't get mauled by things. Alright, so now I've done some fighting, and this is our first elite mob. We're not actually in the dungeon yet, but there just seems to be an elite outside. I did just dismount and go into combat, so I can't actually use any of my abilities, but again, it won't really be a problem. Though I probably won't be dishing out as much threat as I possibly could. Anyway, not really an issue. Basic sword enemies generally tend to be a bit of a pushover. They're just raw numbers, and they're kind of there for chaff. What's scary is the enemies which can actually do spellcasting, because they can properly tear you to pieces, which isn't too nice. Anyway, let's progress on to the dungeon. The full group's here now, by the way, so we've got 2 rangers, a healer, and a DPS spellcaster. Overall, a pretty good group, actually, in terms of its composition. And here's the dungeon entrance. They usually just look like this, and you sort of walk into them, and then it'll just, like, quickly port you over. I think because I've got the game on an SSD, that loading screen is just, like, stupidly quick. Here's the layout of this dungeon, so overall, it's actually sort of long enough. We'll see how it goes, though. There are some bosses, and I've never actually killed a boss mob in Albion before. It'll be interesting to see what they drop. So, yeah, this is actually pretty linear looking by the rough layout. So let's just see what we find. And here's the other group of players. So it's an interesting sort of element to the dungeons in this. If it's in a PvP zone, then you can probably PvP with them. So that kind of changes things up. Oh, hang on a second. There's a boss up here. So, we'll see if we should engage the boss, which is over here. Okay, they want to check silver first, whatever that might mean. I don't know. What is the plan? Let's see. Oh yeah, that guy put a buff on me, so let's go in. Now that boss is doing a cone attack, so probably best not to be hit by that. For some reason, I'm not really getting as much aggro here as I would like. It seems like I am overall, though, soaking enough damage. Yeah, they're certainly able to heal me up enough, and this guy is dying rather slowly. Okay, so what I think I've worked out is that abilities with that kind of, like, I don't know, like, effect around them have to be dodged and can't be... Yeah, that can actually be interrupted, so it does have to be dodged. Now, this is still a pretty early level instance, an early level boss, so that's why its mechanics are kind of simple. What is that, like, weird purple thing? I don't even know. Still, it seems like... Ah, crap, I got hit again. That's kind of newbie of me. It seems like we've got the raw numbers to deal with this easily enough. Last time, I just, like, wasn't receiving enough healing because our healer was only in tier 2 gear. And this time, the healer's in tier 4 gear, so his just raw throughput is quite a lot faster. Fortunately, this guy seems to, like, from time to time, peel off to another person. I gotta wonder why that is. Maybe it's just a mechanic. I was casting up my spell reflect there to deal more damage to him, but that just happened to be right when the enemy casted their thing, which I need to avoid, and that just seems to be how it goes for me. Anyway, this boss is nearly dead. Seems like my first tanking endeavor has been pretty good. This is like the first boss so far in the game. Still, it's kind of, in terms of the numbers balancing, like, this game can be tense. Last time I fought this guy, everyone died. So... it's nice to see we're in a group that maybe is a bit more clued into what's actually going on. Now, what does he drop? So we get some roots. Oh, some rubies. Now, I think they're worth quite a bit when it comes to crafting. And, wow, 600 silver, which is quite a lot to get from a mob. Nice. We actually did very well from that. Okay, so it looks like we've outpaced the other people who are inside this. Oh, shit. Yep, trust me to run right into them. So I'm going to try to grab this spellcaster guy as soon as I can so that he may, basically just so that he's, I'm in range to interrupt his shit so he doesn't, like, start killing all my friends. Not really getting the, oh dear, I'm actually taking a lot of damage here. Okay, this is not good. And my taunting ability isn't really doing as much taunting as I would like. So... that's a bit of a pity. Now we've focused on one enemy, so that's definitely quite a help. Yeah, we should be fine. People are pretty low on things. I'm quite low on health, but there is a healer here, and the amount of damage that's incoming is kind of slow, so that's fine. We probably, yeah, as they say there about focusing the mage, we didn't really do a great job of that whatsoever. That's probably why more damage was taken than was really needed. Now, I'm going to swap over to my tanking stuff. This gives me an on-use ability, which is a Spell Reflect, which is kind of handy. Now, I get 64 silver from those regular mobs. Not as much as the main boss, but hey, it's still pretty decent silver. Okay, this is a pretty big pack. Interesting. Someone's whispering me, but they're not from my group, so I'm not going to really bother responding. Quite a few. But everyone seems hyped for going, so fuck it. As they say, YOLO, and oh shit. All the warriors have ran off. Let's not get hit in that giant AoE. I just clipped the very side of the AoE. That's not good. So, main thing here is just, there we go. We nuked down the mage, which is a pretty good thing. But I need to be better at my tanking duties. I don't really have as big of a toolkit here. So I suppose it's a bit like those times back in TBC where a mob would peel off you, but you just wouldn't really have the ability to get them back. Interesting. I mean, I am using a daunting ability here, so aggro seems to be quite the mechanic in this game, to say the very least. I thought that just having this taunt ability and not the taunt passive would have worked, but yeah, seems like we're in a bit of a shifty position. I can probably taunt one mob, like keep one mob taunted on me, no problem, but multiple, perhaps that's not going to go too well. Anyway, this fight's a foregone conclusion, so at least we've won, which I guess is a good thing. Still, my tanking issue could play up later on. Having an AoE taunt would be real handy here. Well, this is going to be interesting. We've decided to invite the other players to our group, so we're now in one large party to take on this mage boss. There's this guy over here who's naked, and I'm assuming that's his corpse and gear lying over there. Crap, I wonder if anyone else is here to take the aggro, because I don't know if I want the tank, but it seems like, crap, I'm the only person. Yeah, looks like I'm just gonna have to risk this. I'll ask people if they're ready, and, yep. Here goes nothing, I suppose. Yeah, nothing like charging into combat by using the ability, which makes me walk slower. Okay, the whole, tanking thing, not going amazingly. I've used up both of my interrupts, though. Holy crap, I am taking a lot of damage. I'm taking all the damage. This is not good. Not good at all. I'm going to let someone else take a few hits here because, damn. So I've basically got every single mage spamming me up. I'll try to interrupt what I can. Yeah, even though the mechanics are simple, this is tense as fuck. Right, okay. Looks like my health is fine. I don't have shit. I don't have any way of, all my interrupts are on cooldown, and I'm really low on energy, so I might just save my energy to interrupt things rather than do anything else. Okay, I'll interrupt that. Both my interrupts are gone, or at least I don't have any energy to cast either of them. Yeah, they're both gone as well. So, it doesn't look like I've got anything left in my toolkit, but the enemy's dead! Hurrah! And what did we get? We got some tier 3 gear and a flawed sapphire. I'll take the sapphire, I have no idea what it's actually useful for. We got 250 silver from that. Also, by the way, if I click on this, I'm not going to steal it, but that's the remnants of what that other player had. Yeah, it seems like I'm just a completely useless tank when it comes to multiple mobs. And I'm dead. Probably should have seen that one coming. Yeah, it just looks like we eventually got to the stage where we didn't really have the numbers. Now I think what I've got to do is res in this area. Only issue is my stuff's kind of there, so hopefully they'll be able to cart it back. Oh, it seems this guy's actually trading with me. Oh, sweet, he's got my gear. Nice. Is my horse there? I kind of hope the horse is there. Doesn't look like there's much of a horse. Yep, it would appear that, my horse has died. Let's just, say thanks. Because, well, that's pretty handy. No horse, but, that's fine. The gear that I've got was, well, is pretty good. I have lost my helm, though. Still, that's, yeah, not having to replace that stuff will be pretty darn handy. It looks like nearly everyone made out with most of their stuff, and we pretty much all did get maybe a few thousand gold each, so perhaps all is not lost, but it does go to show you don't fuck about in the dungeons here, because the death penalty means you'll very much sort of stand to lose if you really mess up, which is honestly something that I kind of like. This is a game that's very different balancing to World of Warcraft, so losing gear and items isn't really a massive issue, and if you are in a guild, well, that guild will have wider, like, sort of economic support for people, so your guild will be able to buy you gear and things like that, of course, providing you sort of hold up your end of the bargain. Anyway, I'm going to go back to King's Market and try to get my house built. Okay, so I'm back at the house, and it's time to put the final blocks on and see just what the hell happens. I've never actually built something before. And there you go. Oh, that's cool. I didn't know that happened. So now that I've built the house, actually when you go inside, it sort of changes. That's a nifty little feature. I wonder if you can, like, put any... Because I know there's somewhere where you can build furnishings. I'm assuming they just go into your inventory. There's one of the crafting, like, table places allows you to build furnishings, so I'm assuming you can furnish your house as well. But for now, that's essentially what the house does. That's a pretty nifty feature. Now, the same goes for when you're building other things, but a lot of that functionality is already in the town, and there's not a great deal of point in me doing it right here. One other thing I noticed is this vendor. I don't know if this is just something that's here for the test, but he sells loads of seeds and then also loads of animals for the farming feature. This includes, for an example, foals, so I can purchase foals for, oh wow, for like, yeah, for 1,000 gold each, roughly, and you can train them up to be horses, and then, you know, give them a saddle and all that stuff, and you'll be able to use them as a mount, which is kind of cool. Anyway, that's basically it for the house stuff, and as you can probably imagine, this gets a bit more impressive once you have a bigger house, or like a guild hall, mixed in with loads more things in your various different plots. Well, it would have seemed that things are not going completely dandy for me. I just got shot by somebody as I was going through a gate. Didn't really manage to get that recorded, but yeah, I'm very much in the open world, and if I fuck up, I could kind of die, and people could take all my stuff, which is lovely. The one benefit of this, and I can now see there's 2 hostiles in the zone, so they're probably trying to chase me from somewhere far away, but I am on my way to a castle that my faction actually owns. That castle will probably shelter me from whatever these guys are trying to do. Another thing that will shelter me is that the server is going down in like 3 minutes, so as long as I don't die till then, there's a good chance that I'll live. But they were camping outside one of these gates, likely trying to gank people, which I guess is a bit like sort of warp gate ganking or something like that in say, EVE Online. I don't know. So in terms of getting into this base, let's see, I will go via the rightmost entrance. Now, this was won by my guild in a guild versus guild siege yesterday. I wasn't online for it, and it looks like I've missed out on the one really big sort of PvP, like, cool, epic scale thing. But I'm sure you'll be able to find loads of videos of that stuff on YouTube if you're indeed interested in that. I more just want to get here so I don't die and lose my stuff. Well, one interesting feature is once you actually cross the main gate into the castle, there's sort of a large rocky area, and you still need to go right to this little spot in the rocks where you can actually find a way up to where the main castle is, and you actually have to do that once again. So defensively, these castles are actually pretty well like set up. Also, this zone's got loads of level 5 crafting resources, which are actually pretty damn good, and it's nice to have them in a zone that's safe-ish for your guild, because it means it's easier for your guild to get stuff. So now I'm in, and this place, oh wow, sweet, this is full of like soldiers. So I'm guessing they're NPCs who would help us out if we were being sieged by another guild. That's pretty damn cool. There's a chest there, but it says resources depleted, so the chest must be empty with whatever the hell would actually normally be in there. And there really are quite a lot of guards around this base. Nice. None of my guild are actually here at the minute. Oh, and we get this thing. What is this? Oh, I don't have a high enough guild rank to use it. Perhaps it, like, teleports me somewhere else? I'm assuming that's what it is, because it is one of those teleportation stone items. Still, this is pretty damn cool. I wish I had have been there at that guild siege, but it seems like that's really all that I can show for now in terms of the big castles. Okay, so I've been riding around the place for ages, and it doesn't look like PvP is going to happen, so what I'm going to do is do a mission for you. Now, I'm all the way back in a zone that's very close to King's Market, which is where I kind of started off with this video, and I'm going to do a mission for a faction. So, this faction here is the Royal Army. They're basically just kind of like your basic warrior faction. Now, I've got a few different quests that I can take. I'll just do sweep and clear, and basically for doing this, I will get reputation with them, I will get some silver, not a great deal, but I'll also get some of these royal sigils. Now, those royal sigils are pretty damn useful. If I go here, I can actually purchase things with them. So, for an example, a royal plate helm costs 1,000 silver and 9 sigils. For an example, that is better than the current helm that I've got, so yeah, it's probably worth me doing a few missions and replacing some of that gear that I lost. Alternatively, I could just craft it, but... Oh, that guy got eaten. Yeah, I could just craft it, but, well, I don't have the resources on me at the minute, and I kind of want to show you what the faction system is kind of like. Though not being mauled by wolves is probably my first concern. Oh, shit, there's guys over there. I'm actually going to run away from them because as soon as I dismount... Oh, there's the dead guy's corpse. Yeah, as soon as I dismount, I'll have a cooldown on all my abilities. Well, he did run away from his corpse. Protected from looting for like a few seconds. I wonder what sort of stuff that he's got. Let's have a look. Oh, that's the wolf. Well, fine, I'll skin the wolf. Ah, wow, all of his stuff got trashed. Holy crap. Damn, that's a bad day for him. Anyway, time to go into... Okay, someone's pulling those mobs away, which is fair enough for me. Now, these mobs here are very slightly leveled up. They shouldn't be too much of an issue, though. So what I'm going to do is run in here. I'm going to focus on this heretic mage. So there we go. I've interrupted his first ability, and I've not interrupted his shield, which is a bit crap. It means he's going to survive just that little bit extra. Which isn't really too nice because it means I take a lot more damage. So now that he's dead, you can see I started off with 1700 health roughly. By the time I've killed both of these guys, I will have quite a bit less health. And such is the balancing of things in this game, basically. You do need to be quite careful, and if you overpull, you will die, and that's kind of... Oh look, there's Blood Legion. They've quit World of Warcraft, now they're playing Albion full time. Who would have thought it? Alright, that wolf's dead, but oh, crap, my castle in Redwood Redoubt is being attacked. I think we should go and have a look at that. Okay, so our gates just fell, and our guards are apparently, doing the fighting right now, so we really do need to get there pretty quickly. Alright, slight development, so one of our people has been scouting, and right now the best guess is that there's apparently about 5 of the enemy. We are mustering together a defense which is quite a bit bigger than 5. I assume 5 is like just enough to kind of poke at our guards, maybe break our gate down. So we should be able to defend this pretty easily. I assume we could all die. That's very possible. Okay, looking on the map, it would seem that more of our guildies have appeared, so I think we're just going to wait here until everyone else can group up. So that's, yeah, that's actually a decent few of us now. Nice. We should be able to defend this pretty handily, though I don't actually know what we're even being attacked by, because it's still just these two guys rumbling around the place, like in the middle of our base. Not really sure. Anyway, time to find out. I suppose if we're going in from this angle, we might be able to kind of take them, sort of from, like, the side or something like that and surprise them. Somewhat? Maybe? I don't know. Communication is kind of silent at the minute. I'll see what's going on. Yeah, nothing in party chat. So they must all be talking in TeamSpeak, so I'm just going to tag along, really, and sort of see how it goes. Oh, shit, we have people. I have no idea how this works, and I've never done this before. Let's hit them with our sword, what make the damage and things. Alright, so we are not outnumbered, but what we should probably do... Wow, I'm taking hits. What we need to do is probably, like... Well, what my job should be, I'm assuming, is to kind of, like, interrupt as much shit as I can. And just whack people. Because of my gear, I'm not going to be that useful. I'm afraid I do a little bit of raw damage, but I'm mainly just here to almost be a number in the grand scheme of things. Still, we're dishing out some decent deeps here. Silent over here, that guy is taking all the damage. Hopefully their healers will run out of mana soon enough. That would be a sort of nice thing to happen. Oh, wow, I just took a big hit there, so I'm going to retreat back just for a second, so that my guys can heal me up, and we'll try to run back in here. Okay, so quite a lot of them. I have no idea what that golden shield thing does, but a lot of them are at low health, and they seem to be retreating. I like that. I like it when my enemies retreat, especially because it means we can cut them down, hopefully. I don't know what this big purple thing is. So what I've noticed a little bit here in the combat is there's quite a lot of, like, AoE auras and things like that going off, which is kind of cool. Okay. I need to be careful not to die here. Okay. So if anyone overextends, then they're just going to get sort of wrecked. Quite a few people in this guild, though. But we do have some of their fighters down to pretty low health. So I'm going to try, I disrupted his shield, just need a little bit more damage, but their healers are going to be able to get it, so let's move on to someone else. Okay, both me and Silent are taking a lot of damage here. I'm going to and I'm dead. So, there's a bit of guild combat. If I actually spawn at the nearest guild territory, it should spawn me inside Redwood Redoubt, I think. Or not. I don't know where I am now. I'm also naked, so that's interesting. What? Where am I? I'm over here. Why am I over here? Oh dear. Well, that's interesting. I shouldn't have spawned. I definitely shouldn't have spawned. So, yeah, that's the thing. I will stop the recording here, and I suppose we'll see what happens. Don't know if we'll be able to get back, though. Okay, so to cap everything off, I also got mauled by bears, and I'm now back at, actually, I'm back at a different place, which I think is perhaps quite a bit closer to where I want to be. Let's just have a look. Oh wait, no, this is actually very far away from where I want to be, I think. Where is Redwood? Let me see. Well, first of all, we should probably find King's Market, which is there. Oh wow, I'm way over here. Perhaps this fast travel NPC, because I know there are travel NPCs, maybe they'll be able to help me? Doesn't look like there is one, though. No, not here. Right, I'm probably just going to have to do this the old-fashioned way, then. As it turns out, Journeyman's Plate Armor, which is the Tier 3 armor, is really cheap. It's only like 1,000 per piece on the auction house here, so I'm just going to quickly buy some bits of that. These boots are kind of expensive. But, I'll have to deal with it. Anyway, getting re-equipped is actually pretty simple. Okay, so now it's time to equip, and I may as well just show you what that kind of looks like in terms of me putting armor on. I definitely like the art style of the armor in this game. Anyway, I need to hop back on my horse and try to hopefully get to that castle and help them out, though chances are I've kind of missed the boat in terms of being any use to the defense. Yeah, so looking on the map, Redwood Redoubt is sort of 5 zones to the southeast and then 1 to the southwest. So, because I've got a horse, that shouldn't take a ridiculous amount of time to actually get to. Okay, by the sounds of things, it looks like everyone died because a lot of the group has actually disbanded, and now everyone's talking about how powerful mages are. Which would stand to reason because a few of us got nuked down by mages pretty damn quick. And when I died, like, the other guy beside me was at pretty low health, and looking at the rest of the people that we had, it just seems like we sort of did a lot of blanket damage, but they were basically kiting us, and mages do a lot of raw damage, and also because they're wearing cloth, they can move decently fast. So, overall, it would look like we were just out-kited and kind of nuked down by mages. Which I guess is an interesting lesson, and apparently on the Albion subreddit, based on what these guys are saying, there's a video of our guild in a castle siege getting absolutely trashed, so I suppose that might be something that you can find. Well, everyone's saying we've kind of still got the castle but lost the fight. I guess what that means is that we kept them outside the castle for long enough for the gates to be repaired because a pop-up just appeared on my screen like 30 seconds ago saying the gates of the castle had been repaired. So I think that might be that. I'm going to head over to the castle just to see what's going on, and I'll probably wrap the video up there. And there we go, the attack on the castle of Redwood Redoubt has failed. It just popped up on the screen, so That's pretty damn cool. We didn't lose our castle. Yay. I somewhat hope that me tanking some damage meant that someone more useful didn't die, so maybe I helped out in a very, very, very small way. Alright, so I have found where the other warrior person died, which was right over here. Most of his stuff has been turned into trash though, so yeah, rip. I'm gonna try to find my own corpse right now. Yeah, it would seem like there's no joy in my body, but that makes a lot of sense. I had one or two have decent items, so people probably just killed me and then picked me clean. Unless... Oh no, there's Sinestra. Holy crap, they were really well geared too, and now they're dead. Huh. It does look like pretty much everyone died, but we bought enough time for these castle gates to repair. I assume they auto-repair, or something like that, and once they're actually blasted through, then enemies will still need to carve through all of the various guards. Still, that was pretty fun, actually. That was decently exciting, so cool bit of gameplay, and hopefully we see more stuff like that happen once the game is actually live and not in a beta where character progress is going to be wiped. Anyway, that's pretty much it for me and Albion right now. I'll definitely be playing more, especially on launch, and I'll probably play a little bit more of this alpha as well, because this guild actually does seem like it's got some pretty cool people in it. But that's probably it for what's going to be on the channel, so I hope you found these random few videos enjoyable. I will endeavor to get more sort of non-WoW games into the channel, as well, you know, when I can, because it's fun to play other things. But that is it for me. Thank you very much for watching. If you want to check out this game, then there's a link down in the description. But other than that, I will see you next time.